Welcome back. Today it's a rehash on the Wonder Material cell. The Wonder Material cell, or whatever you're going to call this, carbon or metal, it's some sort of metal. For a close-up you can see the rust. If I can hold this properly. Yeah. So it does have colouring of rust on the surface. That's the back of the plate. That's where it was flaked on. This one's stuck to the glass, even soaked in water for 3 days. It's got colouring of rust there as well in the flakes. So it's slightly bigger. Doesn't perform too well in the potassium hydroxide solution, but the potassium hydroxide solution, I think because I have crazy voltage of 5 volts, separates the nickel plate, and I think that's nickel in potassium hydroxide solution there. And I think that tub and this tub has the solution as well. Oh, this tub, that stuff came out of that tub. That's the potassium hydroxide, and this is the Epsom salts one. And right at the bottom there's a layer, but not as much as that other potassium hydroxide version. And now I've come up with a different idea. I'm using a carbon and the metal oxide Wonder Material carbon material in Epsom salts. This one here has been sitting there for 2.5 hours at crazy voltage of nearly 15 volts. The voltage is up so high because I have 2 of these containers, and I was struggling with leakage, so I thought I'd separate the cells and put a membrane in between the 2 cells, sort of leading up to making a flow cell. You'd have to have the liquid flowing past the electrodes, and the membrane sits in there, and it's silicon together, and one electrode in one side and the other separated, but the membrane here is 4 coats thick, so it's way too thick. When it's on low voltage nothing seems to happen. So this has been charging at that voltage for 2.5 hours, and it started off at only 14 milliamps sort of draw, and now it's on the 10 amp range, and we're reading 340 milliamps. The voltage is sort of hovered around there a bit. For that, it's slightly warm. Well, got a temperature gauge. So 33, 32, and that one's just ambient temperature. (26), and even that metal piece, it's ambient room temperature. That's 27. So it's slightly warm, but not too bad for having 15 volts go through it. You have to be careful with the membranes because they dry to half of their thickness. You need to squash them down on some, when you're drying it. You need to suppress it on both sides with something heavy and flat, and then you can glue it in, and it seems to work alright. And this cell, I charged it up. The Epsom salt one with the carbon and the metal plate holds a charge of 1.5 volts for 1 hour and runs the little motor for, what was it, 5 minutes. I've checked this one before the 2-hour charge, and it seems to have crazy amount of power, but there's a catch. The membrane's too thick, so when it's in this setup the power used, it won't even run that motor and the voltage will drop. But if you get the secondary collector, connect it to the positive here and drop it in the tub, we get some crazy results, or I was. So we'll see if I can reproduce those results. Sort of like this tub here holds the energy. It does flow in there, I'll show you. Alright, so I'll disconnect the voltage, charge. The volts will drop off really quickly. I think it holds 1.5 volts normally. So this is with the separated collectors. And can you see the monitors? Yep. Okay, we're set on voltage is set on the 20 range. We're on 10 milliamps. I should change that to the milliamp range. Okay, for a short circuit with the plates separated after a 2.5 hour charge, we're only going to get, we got 35 milliamps. Alright, that was a short. Give it a bit of a charge up boost for wasting that bit of power. I'll let it settle again. Now for the fun. Okay, I'll connect the secondary plate. Okay, let that soak up some liquid. And for a short with this secondary plate, maybe that's not so good. That was doing better before with this plate. I only had that as an idea. This plate. And a little spoon to separate it so they don't stick. Okay, and shorting now. Yeah, 160. So it works better with just the one plate. I thought of that before I turned on the camera. I thought I'd try a test with that. To recover a bit of that lost power, I'll just give it a couple of seconds of ludicrous. Oh no, whoops, in the wrong cell. See, that was a bad idea. Probably no damage done, but I'll set the timer and we'll see how long that actually runs that little motor for now. After 2 hours at crazy voltage, we're going to hold 1.5, I think it does. So starting the motor test now. It really makes a noise. I think on the last test for an hour's charge it sort of stabilised at 0.24, something like that. But it won't do this while the other plate's in there. Oh, I should do that. We'll stop the test for a second. So that was 30 seconds of wasting the juice. It's the same solution both sides. So that's the cell back in its own separate tub with the membrane in between. But the membrane's probably only this big. It's 30 by 20. And connecting with the plates separated, and see the load. Oh, is there something wrong? Got the motor connected. Loose wire, maybe. Okay, we had milliamp reading, but no modem. Oh, it's stuck. Alright, but it's not as good by the looks of it. I think it delivers better power usage. And it's actually in that tub. Yeah, it does. I'm working on a 2-coat membrane now for this this tub here. So quite surprising, this little iron one. But the thing is, there's no nickel in this solution, but that plate could have nickel coating on it. The carbon plate doesn't have any nickel on it unless it comes through the solution in this one from the plate, because I just grabbed it out of my random batch of 16 I had laying around. So the voltage here is still holding 0.5, and we're doing 27 milliamps. Takes a bit longer to charge up. Oh, and one more thing of note with this cell, the membrane, when it was in a closed cell format, a flat cell, at 5 volts, this cell blew the membrane and you could see it all burnt through here, and that's when the cell had a short circuit. And then I used matchsticks to separate the cell, and I had them horizontal, and the oxides must have built up a layer, and then you could tell because it just totally went short circuited and had 0 voltage. But the most improvement here is from this sort of 2-way charge and an extra electrode going in for your usage electrode, like a reactor chamber. Have no idea why, but some reason this works better this way. As you can see, I'm actually surprised here. I thought the double one would work actually when I was sitting in the lounge. But could have this one's got a different carbon. I've got them all mixed up, so I really don't know which carbon, but I suspect this was letter P's carbon, which was the iron oxide one. So I reckon the carbon electrodes carbon has iron oxide on it as well. But I forgot to time it, but we'll have to look on the video. It's quite long and powerful. The motor, you can actually hear it, and it's 23 milliamps. I think, yeah, the single cell in one tub held a charge overnight, but it only ran the motor for 15 minutes, I wish. 1 minute, and then it was flatlined past the 0.2 I cut it off at. But that was on an hour's charge, so it's dropping 1.5 volts over 14 hours to, I think it was 0.7 volts when I checked it in the morning and ran the load. Yeah, so this cell's quite interesting, and it was just slapped together. I have new and improved cells. Before I talk about the cell, this was the nickel cell. I coated it in carbon now. This was the 1000+ degrees, 6 hours sugar carbon coated on here. This is the that was the nickel electrode I was testing it with originally. It had all holes pitted through it. You could put it in the sun and see like a gauze mat. So I thought I'd coat it in carbon and give it a go. That's what 5 volts was separating the nickel. It's all pure, so it was punching holes through there. That's why I think this stuff is actually a nickel compound in there. So there could be a bit of nickel coated onto the cell itself. But for the potassium hydroxide cell, it's way down past half. Maybe the solution isn't strong enough. Not sure. It's an upper system out of pH. And this carbon is on a piece of stainless steel gauze. It's a mix of iron oxide, the wonder material, and the sugar carbon in this cell, just as a test. I haven't tested them yet, but putting it on the baking powder made it all porous. If you can see those holes, I might try the magnifying lens. So it's like a sponge. Come up really shiny on that side. A bit missing there. It's a bit hard sort of pouring on these things. They bounce and move around. not much. I think both electrodes weigh about 4 grams or something. And I had some leftovers, so I made some sort of flexible coated thing. It's a bit conductive. So this motor's still cruising along. That's still going. That's the charger lead, so that's not connected. Well, there you go. That's weird though how I have to swap. Can't wait till the two coated membrane dries. When I was charging it, all these bubbles were sticking to the membrane, and the cells didn't change colour and they didn't start to bubble until I cranked it up to 15 volts or more. But when they're in a single cell they perform not too bad either, but they suffer from leakage. So I think the membrane is actually smaller than the cell, so the membrane may be the size of the collector. But there's definitely some sort of bottleneck holding up, not letting them out. Haven't seen any damage to the cell with the high voltage, or the membrane, or any of corrosion happening on the carbon electrode. Well, it's still going. Well, this video is 17 minutes, so probably 10 minutes. But 2 hours charge at 15 volts. I might try 2 hours on a lower voltage, just more stable voltage, and see. But it doesn't perform this well when it's in the same tub. Not even half this. I would have stopped last time at 5 minutes at this value. It was 0.29 when I cancelled the experiment at 5 minutes on 1 hour. This has had 2 hours. There's some solution stuff, there's some stuff building up at the bottom again. I wouldn't know what that is, because that's just this being soaked in Epsom salts and charged and recharged with a nickel plate next to it. So for some reason the membrane failed at 5 volts where it didn't fail on the other cells. All these here cells, even with the membrane, held and didn't bust through at 5. Not what I know of. Perhaps some of that was the draining, but on the 2 volt charge these cells held. Or the 2 minute charge I should say. And yeah, I think this cell just blew away all my other cells. Problem though, you don't get much of this material when you make it. You get only a few wafers. So this cell differs from the other one because it has the 3 elements compared to just the 1 and the membrane coat. They're about the same size. This one should function a bit better because of the surface area on the wire is greater than that one by far. That's what we got in the tub, this one. And for stainless wire, this thing sticks to it alright. Not much. I think this one has way more material than this one though. But this is more porous. That's all dense looking. Pretty hard too. Look. And this motor is still cruising. It's dropping though. It's getting there. Container feels a bit like normal temperature. Hasn't changed colour much, only the gunk at the bottom. Can't wait to start playing with flow cells though. You have a membrane, an electrode and another electrode, and the solution passes through in a continuous cycle, and you store the energy in the solution, which is a good idea because it can be stored, charged in separate vats. So you have solution A and solution B, you can just fill up. Or you have the option of charging up 2 solutions to fuel your car. You could have servos too, which dump both of the ones which are in your battery and then put the solutions in at the same time, and then off you go. That's not my idea. That was on a show called Catalyst. I think it was Catalyst, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, the concept is really good, flow cell. But this isn't a flow cell, this is some sort of one electrode separated in a barrier charging up the other one and then plunging a new electrode in the solution and discharging. So this broke all of the cells records. Thing is, this one does not charge up fast. It's a slow charger. Later tonight I might give it a 2-hour charge and see what happens in the morning. I'll leave the electrode in that side after charging, and then I'll plunge it into this side and activate. It's like a reactor. I wish I had the time on, but I think I can look at the video and check the time anyway. And we have the discharge and the voltage. Yep, so there you go. Surprised myself. And a rebound on the voltage. Probably won't get any more than that. But yeah, interesting. Another strange sort of thing was when you get 2 of these cells together, because when it wasn't working in these cells, I was playing around with them. 2 of these cells connected to each other. Say this was the original negative one, grabbing the other one, which would have been a negative, and put it on here, turn this one to the positive for some reason, and not so good results. Alright, so that's the, yeah. So on a quick charge, oh no, I'll swap cells. See, even the carbon fell off of this one, it's still in the other side. So I don't think that one needs carbon anyway, because that's the positive side. And for a quick check on the charge. See, we give it a little charge for a second. It's gone off the scale here in milliamps. Probably only doing 340. Charge is set on 14. Plate seems to bubble a bit better now. Maybe more's getting through. Membrane might take a bit to work in. It's only fresh today. And however that long was. Drop the charge off and see what it does. But I don't think it functions too well on a little charge. Oh yeah, we're up near 1.9 volts. That's pretty high for a carbon and metal. Well, this is some sort of weird, bizarre material. Not the mesh, but the stuff in it. It's like, that's that superconductive stuff which sets on fire with the LED. Crazy. Scary too. I keep that sealed in a steel tub just in case it explodes or catches fire during the night. Don't trust it at all. And here for a little test of the motor now. No. Oh, what happened? Oh, that's right. We don't get electron flow when we're in cell form. See, nothing happens. But have you ever seen something weird like that? I can contain them over here. Woohoo! World's first. Oh, well, I can't see anything wrong with pulling the lever to activate your battery and dropping the new cell in. Oh, it does respond to a fast charge, but it's 15 volts. I have to turn it down because it's starting to frizzle after in that run. And don't forget the carbon fell off, if I can get that without puncturing that membrane. Ah, broke a bit off. Ah, getting better. Well, maybe that was a hindering. Anyway, that fell off the carbon sheet. So that's different, isn't it? It won't run there. It just delivers 12 milliamps and drops in voltage though. I think it's the voltage. Aha, didn't then. No idea. Out of power. Some sort of weirdness. It's got, why is the milliamps up? Am I short circuiting? Ah, loose connector. Oh, the motor's falling off the stand. That's what's going on. And it's banging the tape, so we got load. Yeah, and that's why it's doing 22 milliamps, because the motor's loaded up. Hear it? So this version doesn't run it though. Weird. It's just weird every day. Oh, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to keep playing with this little beauty. It's under load and it's running after we drained it for a ludicrous amount of times. I'm excited today. Don't know about you. Alright, this is nearly 30 minutes long. I'm going to call it. Thanks for viewing and hope you enjoyed this one.